Thomas Edsall has an opinion column in the Times. Headlined, "I fear that we are witnessing the end of American democracy." He points out the absolute racism of the contemporary Republican agenda, starting with the orange bastard in the White House, all the way down through the ranks of these swine. But it's all on display at the Republican National Convention. Let me share this with you. He starts out by saying that the center-right political coalition in America, that is the Republican Party as it stands today, can be described as holding two overarching goals. First, deregulation and reductions in corporate and other tax liabilities, each of those clearly stated on the White House website. And second, but packing a bigger punch, and I might add a possibly fatal punch, the preservation of the status quo by stemming the erosion of the privileged status of white Christian America. That bears repeating. Preserving the status quo by stemming the erosion of the privileged status of white Christian America. Oh my God. He goes on, for those who want confirmation of Republican accomplishments along economic lines, the Brookings Institution has provided a helpful deregulatory tracker. And the New York Times has published a thorough examination of Trump's achievements in cutting taxes for the rich. Not only the so-called big, beautiful tax bill of 2017, but also this year's tax break bonanza inside the economic rescue package. The most important issue driving Trump's ascendance, however, has not been the economy, but race. Last week, Edsall argued that for Democrats, the importance of ethnicity and race has grown, not diminished, since the mid-1960s. The same thing is true for Republicans. And many of the least obvious or least comprehensible aspects of Republican political strategy have to do with that party's desire to cloak or veil the racism of the contemporary Republican agenda. Now, at this point, Edsall quotes some people, and it's worth my sharing the quotes with you. There's several scattered through this piece. Robert Jones, the founder and CEO of the Public Religion Research Institute, in his book, quote, The End of White Christian America, end quote, describes the situation this way. Okay? Here's the quote. America's still segregated modern life is marked by three realities. First, geographic segregation has meant that although places like Ferguson and Baltimore may seem like extreme examples, but the geographic segregation has meant that most white Americans continue to live in locales that insulate them from the obstacles facing many majority black communities. Second, this legacy, compounded by social self-segregation, has led to a stark result, which is the overwhelming majority of white Americans don't have a single close relationship with a person who isn't white. Third, there are virtually no American institutions positioned to resolve these problems. Social segregation persists in virtually all major American institutions. End quote, Robert P. Jones. Now, Edsall goes on with firm allegiance to the conservative agenda has become crucial to the ability of Trump and the Republican Party to sustain the loyalty of an overwhelmingly white coalition that experiences itself as besieged and under the threat of losing power. The time when a major political party could articulate a nakedly racist agenda is long past, although the orange ape comes as close to that as possible. There was a headline on a story in Politico just after the close of the first night of the Republican convention on Monday. The headline was, quote, "Trump goes all in on race," end quote. Now, some of the speakers that first night tried to portray Trump as a friend of Black America. Oh, my Christ. Yeah. Okay. And according to Politico, though, quote, "others took a harder edge tack that undercut the message of inclusion," end quote. Yeah, practically everybody who spoke that first night and last night are racist down to the bottoms of the soles of their feet, if that's not unnecessary repetition there. Now, how about Patricia and Mark McCloskey? Remember them? She and her husband were charged with, quote, "unlawful use of a weapon," end quote, after they wielded guns when the Black Lives Matter protesters walked by their St. Louis home. Remember that picture? She's out there with a handgun. He's out there with what appeared to be an AR-15. And there they are waving their weapons at people who no more gave a fuck whether those two lived or died. They were just walking past their house. But there are those two squat-looking white people in front of their big mansion with their guns. And that scene, according to Edsel, played a crucial role setting the stage for the entire Republican National Convention. Patricia McCloskey told viewers, was that last night or the night before? Quote, "What you saw happen to us, what happened to them, could just as easily happen to any of you who are watching from quiet neighborhoods around our country. Make no mistake," she went on, "no matter where you live, your family will not be safe in the radical Democrats' America." Okay, you understand, Truth Seeker. I don't have to pound you in the forehead with this, but you understand what this message is about. This is a declaration of war. Do you doubt this? The Republican National Convention this year, with this orange son of a bitch at the top of this pile, this dung heap, they are making a declaration of war. 2 people died in Kenosha, Wisconsin last night as a result of that declaration of war. And those 2 deaths came as a result of shooting a black man 7 goddamn times in the back in front of his 3 children, which was another declaration of war. You better prepare and remember the 3rd of November because the shit's coming. I'm telling you. I don't know how many people are listening to this podcast, but you better be ready for what these white devils are doing. And you're a white person, okay? So am I. But I don't think you're a white devil. I know goddamn good well I'm not. But you better be ready. Back to Edsel. Mrs. McCloskey provided a variation on a theme that Trump has repeatedly pounded home on Twitter. Staying within the bounds of coded racial language, barely, Trump warns, quote, "the suburban housewives of America. You know, Joe Biden supports affordable housing. It'll destroy your neighborhood and your American dream, but I will preserve it and make it even better." End quote, the ape. You don't have to be a dog to hear that dog whistle, do you? And Matt Gaetz, that slimy, vampiric-looking creep Republican congressman from Florida, echoed Trump on what a future with Biden in the White House would look like. This is what Matt Gaetz said. I wish somebody would just relieve him of his anxiety. He said, quote, "It's a horror film, really. They'll disarm you, empty the prisons, lock you in your home, and invite MS-13 to live next door," end quote. Take a breath, Malloy. Good. That is another declaration of war. Now, I don't know how many of my white brothers and sisters understand that this is, in fact, a declaration of war by people from our tribe, so to speak. Not that I believe in that bullshit, but let's keep it simple. I don't know how many of my European American brothers and sisters get that, but I will guarantee you that every African American, or if you want to be broader, every person of color in this country does get it. You don't have white people saying this kind of shit on Republican National Convention stages, or for the media, or in a newspaper quote, or on television, or wherever. You don't have people, white people, saying this and expecting that what they're saying is empty rhetoric. It is not. It is a declaration. Do you please understand that? You have to understand it so you can prepare. You have to understand what these white devils are saying. And they are white, and they are devils, and they are saying it. Hey, Truth Seekers, while we're practicing safe social distancing, it's a great time to treat yourself with some seriously delicious, responsibly sourced coffee. Awaken to pleasure with River Moon Coffee. But don't take my word for it. Here are 2 recent reviews. Quote, "We sell River Moon Coffee at Marine General Store, and I can't seem to keep up with customer demand. Not only is the coffee excellent, but the philosophy behind it, the careful sourcing and constant research to bring a quality product to customers, appeals to the hearts of our community." End quote. And here's one from a fellow Malloy listener. Quote, "I love this coffee. I buy it in 5-pound bags. I especially love the Truth Seeker blend." End quote. Sounds like they're planning ahead for the apocalypse. Anyway, support a progressive small business that supports this program. Go to MikeMalloy.com and click on the River Moon Coffee link on the main page. You'll thank me later.